I've talked in a few videos about how I was a good student. And that's mostly true, but I won't lie, I wasn't perfect. Maybe 70% good. The rest, questionable decisions, zero thinking, and a lot of confidence. So, dear teachers of my past, I'm sorry, and to everyone watching, learn from my mistakes. The first time I remember getting in trouble was in elementary school, when I was around 7 or 8. It was winter, and I've always loved winter. My schoolyard back then had small hills that turned into pure ice slides every year because students kept sliding down them non-stop. Absolute heaven for kids. One day I was sliding with one boy from my class, having the best recess of the year, when the bell rang. Did we go inside like everyone else around us? No. We stayed for just one more slide, which turned into 5 extra minutes outside. By the time we ran inside, every classroom door was already closed, and classes had started. When we knocked on our classroom door, the teacher came out and scolded us for not listening to the bell. Suddenly, the ice slides were not as important as the school bell in my child's mind. The second time I got in trouble was also in elementary school, and to this day, I still think this one wasn't my fault. I was pure innocent here. It was PE in winter again, maybe 3 years after the first story, and we were ice skating outside. At the time, I was obsessed with a PlayStation 2 game called Odin Sphere. Because it was in English, I barely understood the game, if I'm honest. But there was this blonde, dangerous man named Oswald. And my child brain was absolutely in love with him. He was my favorite character to play as, so of course his voice line stuck with me. One of his attack voice lines was something like "out of my way," said in a angry tone.
Out of my way!
While skating in PE class, I quietly repeated it to myself, imagining I was him, slaying my enemies while going around the ice at high speed, fully in my own little fantasy world. Suddenly, my teacher stopped me and completely lost it, scolding me for saying "out of my way" to everyone and telling me how rude it was. What? I was confused. I wasn't yelling, I wasn't targeting anyone, and no one was even caring what I was doing. I was just being cringe, in peace with my broken English and weird fantasy of being Oswald. Still salty about that one, not gonna lie. Even my friend, whom I've told this story before, laughed at how ridiculous the teacher was. Then came secondary school, and somehow I got worse, if you ask me. The teenage mind sure is interesting. It was the first year at this school when I got in trouble for the first time. One day, during Finnish class, I brought my Tamagotchi to school after reconnecting with the game. I had a goal of raising 100 generations, and education was not going to stop the grind. I took care of it during recess, but of course, it made noise during class. The smart and safe option would have been to ask go to the bathroom and take care of my Tamagotchi. Did I do that? No. The teacher, already annoyed with other students in my class, asked us, "Do you want me to be angry?" I was sitting in the front row, as I have mentioned in my video, avoiding classes for a year. Go watch it after this one. I didn't wear glasses even when I needed, so I was bound to the front row so I could see what was written on the whiteboard. I answered my teacher's question quietly. Yes. She heard it. her eye snapped towards me and I was immediately sent outside. No hesitation, no second thought, just an instant get out. My first time ever being kicked out of a classroom. Not my proudest moment, but it gave me time to play with my Tamagotchi. A stupid reason to get in trouble, but I took it. Another incident happened in math class. I've never loved math. I liked geometry in elementary school because it was more like an art class. But math in secondary school was definitely not that. I also hated homework. Math in my free time? Absolutely no! I spent my free time drawing instead of studying, which meant my homework was often unfinished or completely non-existent. So when it was time to check homework, I had to get a little creative. We marked our math problems in our notebooks using a strict format. Marking lines, assigned number, and page number. My solution for missing homework was to erase the old assignment numbers and replace them with the new ones. An easy way to cheat. It worked once, then twice. The third time, not so much. The teacher checked my homework, really stopped at my desk and asked me to step outside with her. My heart was racing. She was furious and told me cheating was a bad move, especially because I got caught. And just like that, I got my first detention ever. I'm a good student. I don't get detention. At that school, you could collect 10 hours of detention before actually serving them, but she made me do mine immediately because it was detention day. I sat there fuming for an hour, and that was the end of my homework cheating. You will never see me in this room again. I could have skipped it as many others did, but I was a good student, so I stayed for an hour. The last place I got in trouble was high school. Yes, shockingly, getting in trouble at that age is embarrassing. Sinking into a hole, embarrassing. I was sitting next to my friend in class when I suddenly got the urge to draw on a desk. I had paper and a sketchbook, but no. That moment I chose the desk. Already a stupid idea, but I made it worse. I wrote our names into the drawing. Something like Oni loves X. How obvious can you be? Why not just wear a sign that says, I drew on this desk in classroom A67? It didn't help that we had assigned seating and only 2 artists in the entire class. Zero mystery who drew the sketch. The teacher pulled me out of another class to clean the desk. I walked back with her and the room was full of students. I wanted to bite my hand off. No, I wanted to disappear. I was giving a cloth and a cleaning spray and ordered to clean the desk. I did it. I cleaned the desk, then returned to my class. I told my friend what happened and she kindly laughed at me. I have never met another teacher who stopped me from doing something stupid so effectively. Lesson learned instantly. I never drew on desk again. I even erase smudges from the desk if I make them dirty by getting my hands dirty from the pencil or markers. I am not going to get in trouble in school ever again. I am really bad at being bad. I always get caught, feel awful, and fix my behavior immediately. Have you ever gotten in trouble at school, or was I just built different? Thank you all for watching, and I hope to see you all in my next video. Bye bye!